We got a loaded edition of Vikings Now coming to you just around the corner, where we are going to be breaking down a report from Albert Breer on Kirk Cousins and his contract situation with the Minnesota Vikings. And then also, could the Vikings be a perfect fit for this specific cornerback? And then we dive into a mock draft where they had the Vikings trading up to land J.J. McCarthy. All this and more coming up on today's show, but let's dive into it. What's going on, guys? My name is Patrick Siepman, and welcome in. This was a report that we had from Albert Breer on the Kirk Cousins contract situation. He said the Vikings appear unwilling to give Cousins a guaranteed contract. That's what we just dive right into the quote here. As he said, the front office really likes Cousins, but it's also been made clear that they are not going to get contractually where the previous regime did twice and give Cousins a fully guaranteed deal. And we have known this the entire offseason. The Vikings front office, Kwesi, Kevin O'Connell, even ownership, the Wilfs, they want their own guy. They don't feel necessarily like Kirk was their own guy, obviously because it was Spielman that brought him in. So the Vikings really want to get that guy, whether it's through the draft or a free agent also. Like, they want a guy that they can fully kind of groom into their own and then take all the credit or all the blame if he works out or doesn't work out. But Kirk, I mean, listen, guys, we know how good and how special he has been with the Vikings. I honestly think over the past 4 seasons, he has been underrated yet again in the NFL. I mean, the stats speak for themselves. He's been always one of the most efficient quarterbacks in the league. This past season, around 70% completion percentage. I mean, the touchdown to interception ratio, always fantastic. And the thing that I loved about Kirk this past year, where he really upped his game, was I felt like he was more aggressive. I felt like he was more of a leader in the locker room, and I felt like the guys really rallied around him more than in years past. And it gets me to this point also with Kirk Cousins. I still think there is a possibility out there. If Kwesi sits Kirk down and says, hey, we'll give you a 2-year, $40 million, $50 million deal, fully guaranteed. I understand that's incredibly cheap and that's incredibly below market value to stay with this team. I still think there's a chance that Kirk says, yes, I want to take that discount, mainly because he has came out on countless occasions and said, I love my family being in Minnesota. I want to win a Super Bowl for Minnesota. And overall, the whole city, the whole state has kind of wrapped their arms around him, and he's been incredibly receptive. So I still think that possibility is out there that we get this shocking bombshell, report that Kirk signs a 2-year, $50, $60 million deal, whatever it may be. But let's just say the Vikings don't draft Kirk. Where could they be looking? I think it could be in the NFL draft. And these are my quarterback rankings as it stands right now. I don't think the Vikings have a chance at the top 2 guys, mainly because I don't think the Bears would send Caleb Williams in the division. Number 2, I just don't think the Vikings have enough ammunition to go get Drake May at number 2 overall. And plus, I'm pretty certain the Commanders aren't going to overthink this and take May. Could it be a guy like Jaden Daniels? Maybe. Could it be a McCarthy? We'll get to him more in a second. Or even a Michael Penix Jr. I think all 3 of those guys are on the table for the Minnesota Vikings. So maybe if it's not bringing back Kirk, I would say 99% that we will have a rookie quarterback starting week 1 for Minnesota if it is not Kirk Cousins. I really think those are the only 2 choices, but these are my quarterback rankings as it stands right now. And if you guys want just daily content around your Minnesota Vikings, I want to be your guy. Hit that subscribe button. Lock us in as your go-to YouTube channel. I'm going to be putting a lot more work into this channel, a lot more effort to get you guys the best content you deserve. So make sure you guys do hit that subscribe button. Currently at 22,241 subs. So make sure you lock us in. Hit that sub button. I would really, really appreciate it. Just trying to grow this Vikings community more and more each day. Could the Vikings be trading up in this year's draft and drafting this guy right here, J.J. McCarthy out of Chicago, Illinois? Well, in the latest mock draft from Ian Cunningham, that's what he had. He had the Vikings trade up to 5th overall with the Los Angeles Chargers and taking this man right here, J.J. McCarthy, to be the franchise quarterback. This was the trade that Ian Cummings did come up with. He had the Vikings giving up not as much as I thought it would be, the move from 11 to 5, but it was the 11th overall pick, the 42nd overall pick, and a Vikings future second rounder in 2025 to move up to 5th overall and get their guy. And in this mock draft, this was J.J. was the 4th quarterback taken off the board. Daniels went 3, May went 2, and Williams went 1. But diving into J.J. a little bit more here because, listen, we talked about him on the channel countless occasions already, because if you look at DraftKings, you look at FanDuel, any of these sports books, they have the Vikings as the top team and the number one and the biggest favorite to get J.J. McCarthy in this year's draft. And listen, I think the whole argument with J.J. is like, oh, we can't push the ball downfield. You know, he is very limited as a quarterback. And I understand those arguments. But, you know, on deep passes this season, him going 25 of 46 for 700 yards, 10 touchdowns, and just 1 interception with not truly, you know, elite playmakers on the outside at Michigan, I think just overall speaks to the raw talent and the raw potential he has, considering he was, you know, the number one quarterback in his class coming out of high school. But let's dive into some positives and negatives here on McCarthy from what just I have seen watching him, you know, even dating back to high school and now in his college career, and obviously him being a draft prospect. But I do think he's an above-average athlete. I think that's the most slept-on part of his game. He's extremely quick. Like, he's probably going to end up running, I would call it at 4.5, 4.6, because he is just, anytime I watch him, he kind of pops off the screen as an athlete. Also gets me this, he can create outside the pocket. He was one of the better kind of out-of-schedule quarterbacks this year in college football. I thought he was great whenever the play broke down, but also the toughness in the pocket. He had countless throws where it was like Kirk Cousins, where he had a dude right in his face, and he just had to kind of step up in the pocket, deliver a throw, and he took the hit and delivered a strike. Also very accurate over the middle of the field. I mean, we know Michigan, they ran those deep overs, those deep slants, and he just constantly hit them on time and on target. These are some of the positives. Now let's get to the negatives with JJ. He has a very skinny frame, and I put 205 pounds because that's what he's listed as, but there was a report that came out that he was playing around 190 this past season. I'm going to want that to get up to at least 210, just to have some more, you know, some more oomph on his frame, just to, you know, help him prevent injuries. Also, he's a one-speed thrower. He only puts the ball on the line. You rarely see JJ kind of layer a football or kind of drop one in between a couple zones. It's always on a line for him, so that's a negative. Also, below average processing, especially on first reads. You know, he doesn't have the quickest, like, oh, I'm at my first read, that's not there, I'm on to my second. He takes that time, takes that extra second, which I do think could be developed in the league. And then also, he was below average in late down situations this past season on those third and longs. But I can make an argument most quarterbacks are. You know, most quarterbacks struggle in those third and longs, especially when you don't have elite playmakers, because Michigan did not. It could definitely add to it. But my overall take with JJ and what I think he will turn into in the NFL, I really do believe McCarthy's development will come down to where he lands. I think he is the definition of one of those guys where if, like, he ends up in, like, you know how Brock Purdy went to San Francisco, I think that offense would elevate his game and really get the most out of him, and we could see his true potential. But let's just say he ends up at a place like the Tennessee Titans at 7. I think it could be a disaster for McCarthy, but if the Vikings could somehow get him, whether it's trading up for him or taking him at 11th overall, I think it would be a great fit, and I promise you it would work out. I think with the combination of Jefferson, Addison, Kevin O'Connell, Hawkinson, 2 bookend tackles, you would give this kid a incredible foundation to help develop his game and really meet his, you know, max potential in the NFL. But I'll kick it to you guys. Should the Vikings draft J.J. McCarthy, whether it's trading up for him or sitting there at 11? Let me know your answers. Give me a D for draft or give me a P for pass down in the comments section. Coming up here in just a second, is this cornerback a perfect fit for the Vikings in NFL free agency? We'll get to that in a second, but I do want to give a huge shout out to today's sponsor, and that is Game Time. I absolutely love Game Time, and you guys will too. If you guys download the Game Time app today and use that code VikingsChat on your first purchase, you guys will get $20 off. It's going to put up a screen like this. You just put that in the redeem code section, VikingsChat, and you guys will get $20 off, whether it's Timberwolves games, you know, Wild games, whatever you guys want to go to. Use Game Time. It's a ton of fun. I love using it. The best feature on the app is when you're buying your seat, you can literally look around and see, you know, your viewpoint from the seat. It's awesome. It's the best seats, lowest price guaranteed, and prices drop as the events get closer. Lowest price guaranteed. Use code VIKINGSCHAT at Game Time and get $20 off your first purchase. Link for that in the comment section and description of today's show. So who was this perfect fit at cornerback for the Minnesota Vikings? A guy I'm a big fan of, and that was Sean Murphy-Bunting, who was recently with the Tennessee Titans past season. Probably more well-known as a Tampa Bay Buccaneer when they won the Super Bowl, when they beat the Chiefs, and he was a big part of that defense. But I love Sean Murphy-Bunting. He could be that veteran presence that I think this Vikings cornerback group and overall secondary need. And this past season, PFF grade him out is all right. Overall grade was 57.6. He can tackle in the run game, which we know Brian Flores, that is like one of his main kind of shticks as what he wants from a corner is like, you got to go play the run really, really well. And he does that. Coverage grade, 54.5, so solid there. But, you know, he definitely took a step back this past season. Wasn't the same guy that he was back in Tampa Bay, but still a really, really good corner. And now if we take a look at the Vikings cornerback room, there's a need for a veteran in here, man. I mean, Byron Murphy, he is considered a veteran, but, you know, obviously he's only 26 years old. Booth, younger guy. Caleb Evans, younger guy. Mekhi Blackman was a rookie. Najee Thompson was a rookie. So, like, there is still a need for that true, you know, cornerback one, but more importantly, just a veteran in the overall secondary, because I think we're inching towards Harrison Smith getting cut this offseason, and then you're looking around at the secondary, and it's like Josh Metellus and then also Byron Murphy. Are you really two veterans in that unit? I would be all in on adding a guy like Murphy-Bunting, just to add some more veteran presence. And I think he could, you know, even though Booth and Evans have been in the league for a couple years, just to have him kind of groom those guys, I think it would be a huge addition. And I would love the move of getting in Sean Murphy and Bunting. But we're starting a real one roll call back again here on the channel. So if you made it to the end of today's video, give me a real one down below in the comment section. And we'll see you guys next time. As always, Skol Vikes.